Okay, so, we're all about getting right to the heart of things,
Absolutely.
cutting through all the noise and getting to the real story, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Couldn't agree more.
Today, we're looking at a legal battle.
Mm.
Um, you've probably seen the headlines, Drake's defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group, or UMG, um, all tied to this Kendrick Lamar track,
Mm.
Not Like Us.
Right. And you know what we're going to do is we're going to take you deep into UMG's response in this whole thing. Their motion to dismiss Drake's lawsuit, which we got all the details on from this Music Business Worldwide article.
Yeah, this is a juicy one.
It is.
So what we really want to unpack here is, what are UMG's main arguments in this motion to dismiss?
Yeah.
What's their strategy, and what does it all tell us about how the law looks at rap music? Where these two worlds collide.
It's a fascinating intersection for sure.
So right away, UMG comes out pretty strong, saying basically Drake's lawsuit has no leg to stand on.
Yeah, their argument boils down to the idea that when we're talking rap diss tracks like this one, not like us, we're talking opinion and artistic hyperbole,
Right.
not statements of fact that you can just go after in court for defamation.
Makes sense.
It's really interesting.
So that's their cornerstone.
Yeah.
The lyrics in a diss track, not like us are non-actionable opinion and rhetorical hyperbole. They specifically use those words.
Yes, and they drive home the point that diss tracks are like a core part of rap music.
Absolutely.
It's a celebrated art form with a history of outrageous insults.
I mean, yeah, think about the classic rap battles.
Exactly. And what they're afraid of is that if Drake wins this thing, it could have a chilling effect.
Ooh, chilling effect. That's a good one.
Right. A chilling effect on the entire genre.
Yeah, artists might be afraid to even engage in this kind of back and forth anymore.
Exactly. Self-censorship out of fear of legal trouble.
Which, would be a shame because those battles can be so creative and exciting.
Totally. And UMG brings up a really important point about the history between Drake and Lamar.
Oh, right. This isn't just out of the blue.
Exactly. They say any listener would know that Not Like Us is part of this ongoing exchange between them.
So you have to see it in that context.
Absolutely. And they point to the specific language in the track. Epithets, fiery rhetoric, and hyperbole. All stuff that's pretty standard in rap.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the style.
Exactly. And this is where it gets legally interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying you can't just take these lyrics literally.
Like you would a news report or something.
Right. You have to consider them within the world of rap with its own rules and expectations.
Okay, so that's one side of their argument.
Yeah, but then they take it a step further and bring up Drake's own artistic choices.
Ooh, this is where it gets good.
Right. They're basically saying, hold on, Drake, you've dabbled in this kind of content yourself.
He can't really be surprised or offended.
Exactly. And they bring up his track, Tailor-Made Freestyle, which came out before. Not Like Us, remember that one?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, Drake uses AI in that song to make it sound like Tupac is rapping about Drake liking young girls. He even name drops the Budden podcast.
Oh, wow. So UMG is saying by doing that, Drake kind of opened the door to these types of allegations.
Exactly. They're like, you put it out there in your own music, so you can't really cry foul when someone else does something similar.
Bold move.
It's basically saying you acknowledge this stuff exists. You even used it yourself.
So tough to argue with that.
Yeah, and then they go even deeper. They bring up Drake's own past views on rap lyrics and the law.
Oh, man. Just turning the tables.
Right. They point out that just a few years ago, Drake was all about defending artistic expression in rap music. He even signed this public petition.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember that.
It was a pretty big deal at the time, criticizing how prosecutors were using rap lyrics as evidence in court.
I think they were using them against Young Thug, right?
Yep. That was one of the cases that sparked this whole movement.
So what was Drake's position back then?
Well, UMG pulls out this quote from the petition. It said, "The final work is a product of the artist's vision and imagination."
Yeah, that's a pretty strong statement.
Right. They're basically saying art is art, don't take it literally. And then UMG just hits us with, Drake was right then and is wrong now.
Ooh, mic drop moment.
Yeah, they're saying he's contradicting himself now, trying to say not like us should be taken as fact.
Yeah, and that petition wasn't just some random thing. It was part of that Protect Black Art Rap Music on Trial campaign.
Huge movement in the music industry.
So yeah, Drake was right there in the thick of it, arguing for artistic freedom.
And now it seems like he's switched sides.
This is getting juicy.
It is. And then they bring up another major legal point, actual malice, which is key in defamation cases, especially when we're talking about public figures like Drake.
Yeah, break that down for us.
So because Drake's a public figure, to win a defamation case, he has to prove that UMG knew the lyrics and the Not Like Us were false.
Or that they just didn't care whether they were true or not.
Exactly like they acted recklessly, and that's a really high bar to clear.
So it's not just about whether the lyrics are true, it's about what UMG knew or should have known.
Exactly, and UMG is like, look, this is a rap diss track exaggeration as part of the game.
Right.
And they highlight that they've released Drake's own diss tracks, which also had some pretty wild claims.
So they're saying they're consistent in how they treat this kind of content.
Yep, and they argue that no reasonable person would take Not Like Us as serious factual statements.
So basically they're saying Drake can't prove actual malice.
That's their position.
Got it. Okay, so that covers the defamation angle. But the article mentioned that Drake is also going after them for harassment in the second degree under New York law.
Oh, yeah, and something about deceptive business practices, too.
Right, so how is UMG responding to those claims?
Well, they want those thrown out, too. They say the harassment claim is based on a law that's mostly for criminal cases.
Meaning it's about the state bringing charges, not some individual suing someone else.
Right. And then for the deceptive business practices claim, UMG is like, first of all, this isn't really a consumer-oriented issue.
What does that even mean?
Basically, that law is supposed to protect consumers from businesses doing shady stuff.
Like misleading advertising or something?
Exactly. And UMG is saying that releasing a song, even a controversial one, doesn't really fit that.
Yeah, it's more of an artistic dispute.
Right. And they also say Drake hasn't shown that the lyrics in Not Like Us were actually deceptive or misleading.
And that any harm he claims to have suffered isn't directly because of anything UMG did.
That's their argument.
Okay, so they're basically saying all of Drake's legal claims are weak no matter how you slice it.
Yep, that's the gist of it.
Now, this whole thing started because Drake was upset about the streaming numbers for Not Like Us, right?
Back in January, he filed a petition claiming that UMG and Spotify were cooking the books to make the song look more popular than it really was.
And his theory was that UMG got lower licensing fees from Spotify in exchange for this promotion.
Right, but both UMG and Spotify denied it.
So he dropped that, and now he's focused on the content of the song itself and UMG's role in putting it out there.
Exactly, and it's interesting that Kendrick Lamar isn't named in this lawsuit at all. It's all about UMG.
And remember when that streaming numbers controversy first popped up, UMG came out swinging. They were like, Drake's claims are completely baseless.
Yeah, they said, why would we do anything to hurt an artist we've invested so much in?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense from a business perspective.
Right.
So this whole motion to dismiss is just the latest chapter in this saga.
UMG is definitely playing hardball.
Okay, so to sum up, UMG's defense has a few main points.
Hit me with them.
1, rap diss tracks are artistic expression, not statements of fact. Drake is engaged in similar stuff himself, and he used to agree with that view, legally speaking. He can't prove that UMG acted with actual malice, which is a must-win for a defamation case, especially for a public figure.
You got it.
And of course, they also say his other legal claims under New York law are bogus.
Yep.
This case really makes you think about the limits of artistic freedom.
Yeah, like where's the line between being provocative and crossing a legal line?
And what happens if the courts start holding record labels responsible for the content of every diss track they release?
Could have huge implications for the music industry.
Makes you wonder if artists will be more careful about what they say in the future.
Or if record labels will be more hesitant to release certain kinds of music.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
For sure.
Well, this is a story we'll definitely be keeping an eye on.
I'm sure we'll have lots more to discuss as it unfolds.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.